Such a beautiful parallel from the stories that are highlighted in Rescue and your own journey as part of the Marine Corps. How did this project come across your desk, and was this one of the easiest yes that you've ever said to an opportunity?
Yeah, I think rescue in the grand scheme is a really great concept. Kind of highlighting different people's stories, and for me, it was a very easy yes. Having a search and rescue background, a
Yeah.
military background, and kind of dealing with similar scenarios as far as rock climbing and living in Colorado. I mean, obviously, I haven't been in a train crash or anything to that extent, but there's a lot of points of personal reflection and points of personal connection. So aside from having to do a couple readings to make sure my voice was what they were looking for, yeah, it was an easy yes for me.
And similar to a lot of the rescue missions that you feature on the podcast, your own personal story found you taking this horrific event and turning it into something positive. How did that heart attack that you suffered in your 30s set you on the path that you're on today?
Yeah, I think once my heart attack happened, it's kind of spoken to me by a couple different people. Like, you need to, start sharing with the world. Because prior to that, I was never
Mm.
on social media. I was just kind of like a hermit in certain ways. And they're like, you need to share. You need to kind of expose yourself. You've got a wealth of knowledge, and we all could have lost that. So um, that was kind of my approach going forward. And as opportunities present themselves to continue that sharing process and really continue with that. Connecting to people on a personal level, the podcast was just another great opportunity to listen to these amazing stories and also provide some of my own kind of personal insights and reflections within the podcast.
Down a rabbit hole watching your TikTok videos yesterday. Rescue celebrates the everyday hero. Who were the heroes in your own life who've shaped the person that you are today?
Yeah, I think obviously, for most men, for me personally, it's my grandfather and my father. I think
Mm.
there were two shining examples on what men should be, what a father should be. And now with myself being a father and having two sons, I take a lot of the lessons I learned from them and the things that they kind of exposed me to as great opportunities to kind of carry on that kind of family legacy, but more importantly, teach my kids how to think, not necessarily what to think. And that's kind of some of the things I took from my grandfather and my father.
As listeners, you go into this podcast knowing that you're going to hear these incredible rescue missions, but there's also a lot of unexpected emotion, especially as these heroes are recounting the events from the day. Was there a particular story that you got choked up listening to?
Yeah, I mean, all of them are pretty emotional because I can find my own personal connections. But I
Mm.
think the one with Jack Tackle and Charlie Cicera, "To Be a Rock," was probably one of the most personally kind of connecting and emotional ones because, I've climbed mountains with my father. We've done some mountaineering expeditions and some rock climbing. And I've also done it with my son as well, who is just a fanatic for rock climbing. So it's kind of a thing where I can really put myself in their shoes and kind of feel the emotions and kind of understand that connection they have in that rope, and if that rope is severed, what it means. So it's just kind of a different perspective. My father, I was I still was his child when we were doing those mountaineerings, and now it's kind of been a role reversal. So I've seen that full story
Mm.
of a father and son, and then another father and son. But with Charlie and Jack, I know they're best friends, but I know there is that same sort of love and connection there that they would be willing to do anything to keep each other alive.
Beautiful answer. As the host of the podcast, how involved are you in deciding what stories are featured? Because I think it does such a brilliant job, bringing stories that we haven't heard while also bringing new accounts, the ones that have made headlines.
Yeah, I think the beautiful thing about this podcast is that it's a team, and it's just not me having say on specific thing. There's a lot of people behind that are doing research and doing these
Mm.
variety of things to make these episodes great, from the sound to identifying some of these folks. So it is a team effort, and there's a couple episodes where people have reached out to me saying, through social media, I've got a great story. I'd love to
Yeah.
connect, and we do, and now they're on the podcast.
Oh, cool.
It's pretty awesome, to be honest with you, but it's definitely a team effort.
Yeah, you've always used your platform to spark curiosity among others. What do you hope listeners take away after they hear this series?
Yeah, I hope listeners can definitely take away that um, anybody can be a hero. You don't have to wear a number and a jersey or have 10 million followers or be in movies or a singer song. Like, the people are truly the heroes, the everyday person that you come across and you experience that's willing to lay their life on the line. Those are real heroes. Those are the first responders in accidents and tragedy. And I think people can walk away with a sense of like, in the face of adversity or some sort of event that's going on, maybe I can do something to help. Even if it's a small something, bringing a bottle of water or pulling somebody from a car, people can help. We should want to help, and we should have that kind of continuous innate drive in us to look after kind of our tribe, our community, and our
Yeah.
people.
The podcast really highlights the human spirit and that community. And we're about halfway through the 20 episode first season. What can you tease about the remaining back half? And is there an episode in particular that you're really excited for listeners to listen to?
Yeah, I think that the back half of these episodes are pretty awesome. There's some, great stories in there. And there's a couple that, I kind of get to reflect a little bit more on kind of my own personal
Mm,
experiences as far as, the military and then even my own heart attack. But they're going to be rocking and rolling. More importantly, the one that I'm really excited about is the one that doesn't necessarily take place on Earth. It takes place
mm.
in the International Space Station. So we're not only doing stuff that's organic here, but there's events all throughout history that we hear of a major event like a shuttle crash, but we forget maybe where that shuttle was going and why it was going to a place. And maybe it was supposed to relieve people in the International Space Station. And now they have to take great steps to get back down to Earth. And what do they have to do to go through that survival process?